another meeting. Is that right? What clock? Yeah,
Did you?
According to,
Oh, yeah, 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
I want my agenda back.
You want, oh,
It was in that envelope. I just
Yes.
wanted you to write down a date and time for me to meet with you before the end of
well,
the meeting.
okay.
Okay?
Someday, between Monday and Sunday.
Well,
What
just-
day is good for you?
I'm
Do you,
retired.
I tell you?
I'm retired.
Okay,
Yeah.
Tuesday, I always like
You're
Tuesdays,
retired.
because Monday
No.
I'm always like,
I am.
what?
Retired. Just put down a date and time when you,
8,
there you go.
October 8,
Okay.
10 a.m.? Is
Sure.
that- Okay. All right.
No, that's, wait a minute. That's,
Tuesday, next
no,
Tuesday.
that's no
That's-
good because I got a
that's-
meeting with the land trust that day.
You're
Of all
too
the times
funny.
you could. Yeah.
Okay, well, what's it, so Tuesday's not good, or?
Yeah, Tuesday at that time,
Is,
yeah, we're fixing stuff, so.
well, what's a good
Putting up
time?
gates and all that.
You can put up
Oh, like all day?
Yeah, sometimes we work all day, yeah. Good for
How about Wednesday,
you. Sure,
the 9th
there you go,
at 10?
okay.
Okay,
See you then.
all right.
Alrighty,
If you
Thank
show
you.
up,
Yeah.
I'm
Are we having a
forget.
zoning meeting?
No. We do have to at some point. Well,
Oh, well, that could do now.
yes.
Go,
Okay.
We're ready?
ready.
Okay. Call to order the meeting of October 2nd at 7 o'clock. The roll call, please.
Ron Shabazio, Chair.
I am here.
Mike Carpenter.
here?
Anthony Renzi.
Yes, ma'am, here.
Also present is Helen Hardy, Secretary.
And
Lisa
Lisa,
Johnson is excused.
excused.
I understand. And Jennifer Siciliano, Planner. Joanna Achilles, Solicitor. Members of the public. And that includes Gordon Rogers and Joe and Palmer Carey. Carey.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Approval of minutes of September 18th. May I have a motion?
So move.
May I have a second? I'll second it because Anthony's doing something and Helen's writing. Okay, so any discussion?
We just, as always, nothing substantive, but I went over them a little bit with Jennifer this afternoon, and we changed some wording which didn't make sense, or it just didn't make sense.
Yeah.
We're just clarifying, it's instead of Joanna Achilles stated, as long as they put it on the agenda, period. And so we just said, Joanna Achilles stated that as long as the blighted properties were put on the planning board agenda, just clarifying what we meant. And so there was nothing, that first paragraph about blighted buildings, we sort of went through and just reworded, and that was the only thing that we really did. There was a, and
Anything else, please? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
And I abstain, it's still a vote. It's
it's
illegal.
still a
Yeah, it's a legal vote, therefore.
carries because it's a majority. So, and you're abstaining.
Yeah. Correspondence, anybody? Okay, comments from the chair, real quickly, I just want to say, it's very interesting when you read things and you get a new idea. Years ago, I read the law that pertained to bus monitors. And I realized that Foster didn't need bus monitors. And it took about 6, maybe 10 years for finally a school committee to have the courage to change that. That has saved the taxpayers $1.2 million, $1.3 million, moving to $2 million. The reason I said that, it's not about me, it's about reading what's in front of you. Don't worry. If you read the charter to the job of the planning board, in 8 months that I've been chair, I think I've pretty much brought to the planning board a new idea that we are the research and development corporation of the council. Nothing changed to our old duties. However, we're supposed to constantly bring new ideas, new information. The council is in charge and gets to do whatever they want with it. But the things that have been brought forth, Jeff, refurbishing trucks,
Municipal court.
yeah, municipal court,
Anthony
and that's an
Trucks.
old thought, but still rehashing old thoughts.
Tax incentives?
Yeah, tax incentives, Anthony with leasing and renting, and so hopefully the new members will bring new ideas, and the board won't fall back to the square that it believes was its responsibilities, because there's no way you can read the charter about the planning board, and there shall be a planning board, and the planning board shall be in charge of all development. If the council wants to make an economic development committee, if the council wants to make a blight committee, but it's our job to bring up the thought. And you don't want this committee to go back to just rulings on what comes before us. So much stuff has come through this committee in the last 8 months, 9 months, all right? And tell you the truth, I didn't do anything. All I did was let you guys do what you wanted to do. So, I'm telling you, to truth, I didn't accomplish one thing, except let you do what you wanted to do. And there's 3 of you here. In truth, this is my last anything to do with the town of Foster. The elderly and disabled tax freeze, I got killed by both sides, took 20 years, 30 years to fix. Just, the town has got to move forward. So, that's my comments. I wish you all good luck. And hopefully, Lynn Ryder, if anybody ever thought I would stand up and say something nice about Ron Serasio, you, okay? You never gave me the chance that I needed, just like the school committee. But I'm done. I will put my effort someplace else that wants something positive done. Thank you. The blighted buildings. Rita's been away for 6 weeks. 6 days. I have the pictures of all the blighted buildings. There are 1, 2, I think 5, and that are commercial buildings. And so public goes on those areas. And when Rita gets back, she will be able to take them off my phone and put them.
At least you're giving her credit.
No, I'm technologically impaired. Once again, I didn't do anything except go like that, okay? So the next chair, or Helen will get the pictures when Rita,
I'm gathering Rita is related to you legally.
yes, listen, you know, that's another story. She has a different name than me. She's embarrassed by me, so she kept her name. So blighted buildings. The next thing was licensing fees, and there again, Anthony, yes, I'm sorry, Helen.
I'm so sorry. So, you have pictures of the blighted,
Yes,
blighted properties,
commercial buildings.
blighted commercial properties on Route 6, and you are going to provide those to,
The next chair or you, whoever, right? So you'll have them for the next meeting. And you, the planning board can do what they want. You may not, the new planning board may not want to do anything with it. Helen, okay?
yeah, thank you.
Licensing fees. Once again, Anthony asked me to do this, and I just didn't do it. I don't want anything to do with Foster. Okay? All the people in this town have absolutely no idea the things I've done. And there was a philosopher said that a good person does things for others. A bad person expects something for that. And I've never expected anything for it. So, but I'm done. So that's up to the next planning board. You have, well, I'll pass that information. I have all the information if nobody else does. Okay, the solar farm ordinance. Yes, Helen?
Sorry.
Yeah.
The licensing fees, was it
Anthony, it was Anthony too.
That was your, and so we
spent some time on it.
oh gosh, we sure did.
Yeah,
And I'm just trying to think, we have that information?
Yeah.
I have it all,
We
Helen.
just have to finish
And you
it up.
have
And I'll get it,
You're gonna
I'll
make
push
sure.
it on, okay? So all the information that was collected to that point,
Okay.
all right?
Because.
I'll get it to you. I'll get it, actually, get it to Jennifer, both things will go through Jennifer.
Okay, great.
Oh, the proposed draft ordinance, solar ordinance, Anthony, you wanted this on.
Yeah,
Yeah, what? Did you want to say something first?
proposed draft ordinance, or are we talking about licensing, I'm sorry?
No,
No.
now we moved on to
We're
solar.
working on,
Okay.
we're continuing the work we started on the solar.
Right, exactly. Anthony wanted this on. So Anthony, go.
On the 200-foot setbacks, now, at 200-foot setback, that would be from the property lines, correct?
Yes,
Okay,
from all property lines,
All
from the
property.
street and the property together.
from the street and neighboring properties, okay. But we're not telling them what to do with that 200-foot buffer, are we?
Undisturbed, it says,
Undisturbed?
meaning if there are trees there, you can't cut them down.
But,
But if there are no trees,
yeah.
Then,
Okay, yeah, but, looking at other places, okay, if you're gonna have a solar farm come in block of woods, and they're gonna clear that block of woods that's in the middle, and then you're gonna let them keep the 200 feet of trees. Those 200 feet of trees are gonna cast a shadow on their solar farm, and it's gonna disrupt their solar farm and what they do. So, that is an issue with, basically telling them you can clear the middle, but you can't clear here.
right,
But we also, in that, which doesn't make sense, is we have, what, a 50-foot, we want 50 feet from the fence of trees?
I think it was, I think somebody proposed 50, but we were saying 20.
Okay, 20
20
feet
and
of trees, so
vegetated.
you're telling them, don't cut the trees, but we want 20 more feet of trees in front of the trees we don't want you to cut.
Lead,
no,
Yeah,
behind the trees. So you're gonna cut your big clearing,
Yeah,
and then you're gonna add some more trees after where you've cut.
In case,
no, you're missing my point, Joanna. Okay? The red tables are where they're putting the solar farm.
Mm-hmm,
The fence is in front of them red chairs.
mm-hmm.
You're telling them 20 feet after that fence, you want them to plant trees.
yes,
Yeah, we planted.
Okay, replant them. But you're also telling them 200 feet from that fence to the property line, don't cut the trees.
Mhm.
So if we're not cutting those trees, why do they gotta plant trees?
in case there's not trees in front of the
Okay.
fence.
But you're,
If the 200 feet are,
okay.
so you're
So,
saying
here's
maybe.
what you're gonna,
yeah.
here's what you're gonna have, okay? Just kinda like if you go out and look at the Route 6 new solar farm. If you look, they cut the tops off of a whole bunch of trees and left, it's to the power line, I get it.
Yeah, I saw
Okay.
it, I saw it today.
But that's what they're gonna do to the tops of the trees on your 200 feet.
No, they have to be undisturbed, they cannot touch them.
Okay, well then you're really not allowing,
So let me help Anthony out. Look, here's 600 feet, right? 200 feet of trees, 60 feet up. Who's got their algebra handy, all right? So 60 feet up, throwing a triangle, shadow.
Yeah, we get
All right.
that.
So now, this is what you have left for a solar farm.
Okay, well, I have to say that in Gloucester, they are proposing 500 feet, and we had 20 feet. So, I mean, I feel like Foster wants to protect.
Foster
Have
wants to
some
protect everything.
but here's
I
for
mean,
you guys of what's happening. And this is why I said each spot should be designated different. We're all reacting to the two ugly ones that the former chairman of the planning board allowed on Route 6. So
I'm gonna take exception to that because it was the whole planning board that
Okay,
was
well, then you-
responsible. It was me. I was responsible for it.
Helen did it.
it was your fault, Ellen.
It was.
So what we're doing, because we're not paying attention, okay, we're reacting to what's on Route 6. That's what we're reacting
Well,
to.
we're trying to learn lessons from that.
Okay, but
right?
you're creating a bigger issue. That's why I'm saying certain places should be deemed differently. So now, if they come into an open field, a pasture,
Mhm.
they don't need, they're not cutting any trees and it's gonna be wide open. Okay? But then if they wanna go into a wooded area, you're telling them they have to leave 200 feet of trees completely around where they're putting their solar farm. And the trees are casting shadows on their solar panels, which doesn't make the solar
Well,
farm work.
we could figure it out. I mean, I can't do it right here, but a tree is like 35 to 50 feet. So that's how tall trees are. We
Some
could
are,
figure
some are
out,
different, I mean, some are pretty up there.
We actually worked that out with the solar farm that was being proposed up on Cucumber Hill Road, with, you know, how much of a setback they needed, because it was forested, the lot was forested, and so we worked out the amount,
the geometry.
right.
Well,
Well, maybe
Oh, wait a
we could
minute,
put that.
didn't we
in our-
solve this, hold on, didn't we solve this? Didn't Mike Carpenter solve this?
With
What was that
terrain
term?
masking?
Yes,
Yeah,
All right,
if-
so-
If everybody has a piece of paper, then you can use this.
so I don't understand,
Just,
we passed that.
well, it's just a matter of masking, okay? So there's a big wall chart right in front of us, okay, on the opposite wall.
Yep.
You hold up a piece of paper
Yeah,
and
Exactly.
keep bringing it up till you can't see it anymore. Okay?
and you do this, in and out.
Yeah, and what you find is that the elevation at this line of sight, it's line of sight, that's the point I'm trying to make. The further away you move this paper, the higher it's gonna have to go. okay? So, in planning, solar panels, okay, which are reflective, very disturbing for abutters, right? So in our ordinance, if we're, instead of trying to specify tree heights and maintenance of vegetation, and all you have to do is take advantage of the terrain, okay? The existing trees, the existing hills, and valleys, okay? And the elevation of the line of sight that provides the view shed, okay? If view shed is blocked, you've succeeded in your ordinance. So instead of focusing on setbacks, okay, or different kinds of trees and vegetation maintenance, which are impossible to enforce, because trees lose their leaves, trees die, yada yada. The distance from, as in an open field, changes the view shed, okay? So we need to use the simple theory of terrain masking, just like they do for defense, because there are lots and lots of devices that are aimed and utilized using line of sight, okay? But that even includes, believe it or not, radar, okay? Now, y'all fly, okay? You wanna know that that pilot doesn't have something between him and that airfield that's blocking that radar, like ground clutter, okay? Or disturbance, simply because once the line of sight is lost, even the sophisticated electronic equipment,
Mike, you're going for a trip,
and
man.
I'm going for a trip.
Okay, yeah, you're going
But
for a
that's it,
trip.
that's why I wanted everybody just to.
So let me do one thing. Yes, go ahead, Helen, please.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we had gotten about that far on the solar ordinance, and we had sort of bogged down there at its item D, major solar installation, number 3, setbacks, and we had bogged down there, and so I think we were working on that the last time. So what I have written down, it says, the installation shall maintain a 200-foot undisturbed setback and additionally maintain a 20-foot vegetated buffer from all adjacent properties and roadways. And then I wrote, if the property is cleared, or unless the property is sufficiently wooded to provide view masking. So that was what I had
So-
from last
Yeah,
time.
Mike, let me do something here, all right? If it's uphill like 101, that corner is the high point of 101. It doesn't do you any good to do terrain masking up here, because it's gotta be this big. That one has to move to here,
It's
right to the road, right to the X, okay? If it's down below, okay, it only has to be the height of a house across the street or a truck going by. Because up on Route 2 in Mass, they have a lot of them down in valleys, and they didn't do anything with terrain, and you see them. So this 200-foot thing is really wrong, in my opinion. It's my last thing, but I just think it's the wrong thing.
The more specific we get, okay, the less offensive our position will be. Simply because every installation is going to be different. A good thing to think about is, drive down Route 14. Can you see the landfill? No. How high is the landfill? It's 580 feet.
Yeah,
It's higher than any of the windmills,
right,
but you can't see the landfill.
because the trees are 50 or 60 feet high.
Tree and mostly the terrain,
Yeah.
okay? And it's the pick landfill, we, us terrible people who like to take advantage of making money, pick and put landfills where they're least objectionable, which is lots of times, guess where? An abandoned airport or adjacent to an existing airport.
Or a place outside the Providence City water supply.
Fall River, Fall River landfill, is it the old Fall River land, yeah. That's it. Fall River landfill, is it the old Fall River airport? And there's a place just north of Binghamton that's at an existing airport, okay? Now, why? Well, it's because if you have an airport, it's gotta be flat, okay? Real hard to land an airplane uphill, or that, down. So.
You ever been to Crete?
But my,
Seriously, so what they've done is they've taken advantage of terrain, okay? And if we don't have that incorporated, and we don't use those terms, terrain masking, wherever possible, okay? There may be a way to relax that and allow somebody to do it with trees. But it's far better if they have the opportunity in the land, okay? And one of the things you just mentioned was, and it ties into the new one, Quahog Silver, out on 101. They put the field in the center mass, okay? So they can control what Anthony was talking about, activity, solar activity. They can maintain the effectiveness of that solar array without disturbing any of the borders. Now, if they built right to the boundaries, it would be very difficult to do that.
well, that's what's on Route 6 right now.
Exactly.
But my point being, okay,
Oh, don't rub it in.
my point being, as I come in and say, I'd rather look at solar farms than a strip. Someone on the zoning board said that to me in a meeting, okay? And then I said she can go buy a pound of sun whenever she wants it. My point being, take the guy with, on Route 6, he's got 100 acres of land. He's got 50 acres of solar farm. So they're gonna cut the trees in the middle of this 100 acres. Well, you're telling them from where he's putting his fence line, because they're gonna fence around
Right,
the solar farm.
right,
And you're telling him 200 feet off that fence, he can't cut the trees down.
right.
Okay, well, the sun can't get in there, especially on the southern side. Okay, and now what's to stop the guy with that piece of land to go clear the land ahead of time?
I worry about that too.
It's
Okay,
been done.
Yes.
because there's a couple of places that are already cleared out,
That-
and they're just waiting to go do that.
It's a major site development, and that's part of the plan. Okay.
Except if except if they have the right to farm out.
It's not applicable
Can I-
to solar.
No, I don't think it is.
Before
To
that,
raise cows.
We
Go ahead,
have,
Helen, I'm sorry, Helen.
Can I make I don't know if this would be helpful, but if, we've got design standards, land evidence, setback site, if we had a section entitled terrain masking or view masking,
Would you want it to be,
if we added that maybe before the setbacks, then we have to be advised by our attorney, but maybe that would allow the setbacks to be variable depending on.
wouldn't you want an either or, Helen? I'm not saying
Like a or.
an
Yeah.
either or,
Yeah,
okay, you
Yes.
can do this or
Yes.
that.
I
Yeah,
think you could
because that
add a
was what we,
whole section in your design standards about whether it's gonna be a setback, a terrain masking,
Yeah.
a mixing.
that's why I
Yeah.
had said you,
Yeah.
because,
But you still need a minimum, like,
no, I understand
Right.
that, but the person that has no neighbors, no nothing, middle of the woods, okay? Only he can see it, okay? That's why I asked you if we can put in a variance, if they can come to a variance on the special use permit. They gotta get
we
special.
can't.
Yeah.
So our problem is that our zoning ordinance does not provide that you can have a special use permit and a use variance. You would have to enact a separate ordinance that allows you to do both. Some other cities and towns do have that, but there was a court case quite some time ago that said, if you get a special use permit, you can't ask for a variance on that project.
Okay.
that's come up
Yes.
a few times.
There was another solar farm that wanted to come, but they couldn't because they needed both.
And there, yeah, and I'm, blank on what the situations were, but there were other situations where people wanted both things and they couldn't, you know, they couldn't have both, and that was actually a protection for the town, was they could have either a special use or a dimensional variance, but not both.
They're really concerned about the southern exposure, so maybe
Yeah.
we can,
The best way out of it, I'm just telling you, it's just been answered. Add the terrain and give them an either or, right?
Mhm.
And from our legal expert, we'll tell you it's always good to leave things vague. There you go, Mike, vague.
I do
Mike
think
is the vague.
I do think we need to have a minimum of the setback, but leave enough room that the board can be
Where the people will see.
flexible, but strong enough that
Have trees.
there's still a decent
But where,
minimum.
like you said, where the trees are to be placed.
Concentrate on your both.
You don't
Yeah.
need just 200-foot setback. You can
What-
have 50-foot.
You have
Hey,
to
Mike.
talk for everyone.
should they be able to do that?
Put it in this conference.
No,
No, they were talking about women.
he wasn't
That's
on that
about
board
it.
when you guys voted for the one on 6. Oh, you were?
You know, I got a question about Route 6. You go back, I'm sure we passed it with a black fence.
We did.
I read,
We did.
We looked
Did
it up,
you?
you and I.
we did, we looked at
It
me.
wasn't in it, on the second
We
one.
passed it.
I remember you guys
It was-
putting
Yeah.
the
We
word.
didn't pass-
Well, it
Fence,
doesn't matter.
but we didn't know enough then.
Well,
No,
I thought the second one, you said black fence.
yeah, because
we
we,
want to take a major hit on that, because the trees weren't planted the way they were supposed to be, and the fence wasn't erected the way it was supposed to be, and all goes to enforcement. And enforcement, unfortunately, has been weak in not just solar.
you mean we don't have a
The first one
full-time
and the second
zoning
one.
official?
The first one,
Well, the first one, which I find real nice, is they cut the grass real nice on the inside, but the front of it looks like crap.
Well-
I mean, you know,
All right, look, let's, so the question, we did not pass it with a black fence, is that the?
I'm talking
No,
about the second one.
I don't think so, because
second one.
I don't think we knew enough at that time.
The second one, I think we were, Helen, excuse me,
Yeah.
without interrupting you, the second one, the one they're working on right now?
The one up
They
on
can
Cohog
have that.
Cellar on one.
No,
The one
on
across
Route
the
6.
street.
Yes, the one on the corner of Dean House.
Helen, if you look back,
You know what I mean?
I brought it up.
You brought up,
Because of across the
you
street.
brought up berms and black fences at that time.
Oh, yeah, at that
We need to
point,
order
yes,
that.
that's right, that's right.
And I just, that came on after that, after it was
Yeah.
approved. But I had murmured about black fences. Now, I believe, I went with, to,
Coverage or the same,
what's your name?
whatever you want, what.
Jennifer.
Coverage would not be better.
Lost my
Yeah.
mind. I went to Jennifer's office, and then she went back and looked at it,
Yeah.
and I think it was approved without black
They
fences.
can request.
Jesus.
Talked about it, but we didn't.
All right, well, that's not on the agenda.
But
Listen,
that's not gonna be any site, but.
right now,
Okay.
I think the planning board has to put this back on the agenda and develop the or,
Section on
Michael's,
terrain.
terrain masking
Yeah.
and do an either or out of it. I don't think you should move it forward with what it is.
No, I agree with that.
Jennifer and I were just kind of talking about how best to, so we can work on that.
All right,
Can we just keep going quickly, because I think the rest of it, minimize regrading, no removal of topsoil, or unnecessary ground degrading. Can we just keep going, because the rest of it, I think, is pretty,
all right, I got, then, all right, I'll wait till you're done, Helen. We'll keep going, because I have one more thing.
okay.
we're,
I was on, let's see, landscaping plan, let's see, solar land coverage, blah, 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 should not exceed 40% of the land suitable for development of a lot.
So it's D 4 or 5,
D,
right?
Anthony, didn't you have a problem with the land coverage?
Yeah.
That was your,
Taking away to 40%.
Just take it away.
so
Take it out.
what are you proposing instead? Because this is where we are, right?
Well, you're giving them a 200-foot buffer all the way around, that's quite a bit, that's quite a bit. If you do that 200-foot buffer all around, you put the 40% of the mass that they're gonna do, you're leaving the guy, he needs 300 acres to do 3 acres of solar farm. Can't do that.
So here's what you end up with.
It is percent, it is saying that it can't be, you know, we don't want it to be a half the property, that the solar farm, you know, the structures, we don't want it to be, you know, half, we want it to be less than half, basically, is your.
But Helen, look at this.
Yep.
200-foot buffer all the way around. That's what's left to use as a solar farm. So
What I'm trying to say is the 200-foot buffer doesn't count as part of
Yeah, it
the
doesn't count.
40%. The only part that counts is the solar installation, you know, and all the, you know, the panels, the, in between the panels, you know, that's
fenced
what
in
is
area,
the
isn't
40%.
The
Yeah,
fenced-in area?
thank you. Thank you for clarifying that.
You're
That's
still-
your 40%.
I think there might be some audience participation here, maybe.
Oh, now you want my participation? No, thank you.
Oh, okay. If you do
Any other time I'm shut down.
the 40% with a 200-foot buffer, you're actually making that 200-foot buffer part of the solar farm, because you're telling them they can't disturb it, they can't do anything. And then they're gonna fence in, and you're gonna only tell
But
them.
Anthony, if we pass, if you
The
move
masking
forward,
thing, okay,
yeah, then the 200-foot is out.
okay, I understand that part now.
So now you wanna take the 40% out, hold on.
Go ahead.
So if you do masking,
Yeah.
the 40% you want out now.
Well, yeah.
Because you could increase, with masking, you could increase the size of the solar entity, right? Is that what you're saying?
I would think so, but if you're still saying 40%, where
Well-
does the 40% begin or don't begin?
Well, let's talk about that as part of the
Okay,
masking.
so let's clarify. We want to clarify what the 40% is, because my understanding was the 40% solar land coverage plus additional existing structures on the lot with them shall not exceed 40%. So let's get clarified, what is included in the 40%, don't you think?
Well, why don't you read the whole thing, because you've already got a qualifier in there.
Suitable for development, so that would be subtracting the buffers.
And if you want to spell that out, we can,
We can say,
if there is.
I wouldn't get that specific, because that's part of how it will be approved. It's gonna be based on the specific site. And whether they use terrain masking, or whether they use a setback.
Yeah, that's your,
Just don't go there. You've already got enough qualifiers in that paragraph to protect yourself.
well, I feel that the town was saying that they wanted, they didn't want all the land being taken up by solar. I'm just,
well, who's the, wait a minute,
like,
who is the
who
town?
was the town? People,
Well, but we're here,
yes, you are.
all right? So we're
I'm just-
putting an ordinance forward, all right? And then you have a public hearing. I don't know why they had a public hearing before this is developed.
But, so the idea was that you weren't going to use all the land for the solar. You guys are saying, go ahead and use all the land
Read the
except for.
paragraph. What does
No,
it say if it's a
because-
brownfield?
Yeah.
In a brownfield, it says is not applicable. Brownfield can have anything.
Well,
Yeah.
I know,
And,
but if you read on, the
Yeah.
planning board shall have the authority to reduce the setbacks described in subsection 3 above to setbacks as low as 100 feet.
Yes,
Where are
if
you?
it's a brownfield.
where are we now, Mike?
Not necessarily, but that's not necessarily in the brownfield.
Unless the solar installation is being installed on the brownfield. And then,
I've lost
There's no restriction,
Where's
unless it's a
the brownfield?
brownfield, there will be no restrictions to solar.
land.
hold on. Right now, you got 3 people talking.
I'm sorry,
Just listen for a minute.
hold on just one second.
No,
So we wanna-
I'm not gonna hold on to that. I think you
We
need to,
have
I'm
three
asking everybody,
different versions of the,
Yeah, it doesn't look like
Ordinance.
Helen has the right version. That's the
No.
problem.
oh,
I thought I did have the right version, actually, because what we were given, and I was confused about this the last time. So what we were given where we were given the ordinance with track changes. Now, this, the original, this was the ordinance with public comments.
This is what we're,
Well, what's this?
this was Jen's
Without
original,
these.
yeah. So I think we had the original draft, this was the public comment, and then this is what Jen put in with her comments of what she thought was appropriate, and what she didn't think, necessarily think was appropriate. This was our last draft.
Yeah, you were asking me to put versions, I shouldn't.
Right, and so I,
Writing on the other.
I'm working on this, because I kept going to track changes and seeing where the track changes were. And I thought this was just where all of the, public comments were.
No, if,
Some of them are me.
we'll
I
never
think it's
get
what
to
you
the moon
incorporate, what you
this
like,
way,
what you
guys.
didn't
You
like. What happened?
The planning board's going to the moon?
If we were NASA, we'd never get a launch, but
Houston, we have problems.
we've got way too much language here. So what we've done is we've got stuff that's highlighted, stuff that's crossed out, stuff that's underlined, okay? We've been going through deciding that, well, there's some redundancy, there's some numbers we don't, if there's any numbers here that we don't have to have, take them out. Okay?
I'm into less is more, but I felt that people who had given comments, I wanted to incorporate
They would,
they're not in the
our
planning board,
constitution
but
would be 1,000 pages long.
Here's what's gonna happen when you put the 40%. You're gonna put that 40% that they can only use, so that means they're just gonna use a bigger piece to get what they need. Think about it like that. Guy has 50 acres, he only wants to come in and do a small area, okay, like 10 acres. You're telling him he can only use 40% of the 10 acres, which gives him little. So now, the guy with 50 acres is gonna say, well, guess what? They need so much to produce what they're doing. So now, all of a sudden, he's gonna say, well, we're gonna do 40 acres of my 50 acres. So now, all of a sudden, this whole thing gets bigger because you're telling him he can use less. You follow what I'm getting at?
No, I didn't follow that.
You
Yes.
didn't follow me?
Helen, what he's saying is, listen, if I got 50 acres and I was only gonna use 10, and you're limiting me with this 200 acre thing, in order for me to make it profitable for me to use, I'm gonna signify 20 acres
That's
to
right.
get what I
That's
need
right.
to be profitable.
That's
Okay, so I'm gonna do more damage to get what I need by
Exactly.
your rules.
But keep in mind that this is not sole, alternate energy, main, in this case, solar, right? Has to be located somewhere near three-phase power.
There you go.
Right.
Theodore Foster Road, Route 101, some parts of Route 94, Route 6. So a lot of the concerns from the general public were
Yeah.
the whole town of Foster being covered with solar. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah,
What we wanna write into this are restrictions, okay, and qualifications that can be interpreted based on where someone decides to build. If they decide to put a solar farm right next to Route 6, okay, and they have no intention of blocking view shed, that's an issue.
yeah.
It's an issue for the abutters and it's an issue for people passing by. If they decide to put a 10-acre solar farm on Tom Woods Road, in the middle of 200 acres, none of this is an issue. Okay, but they probably won't, because guess what? There's no three-phase on Tom.
Is it three-phase on 102, Anthony?
Sometimes it's.
But they're willing,
Come to-
if they're willing to bring the poles, if they can get poles.
No, I'm just waiting now, because
$70,000.
I don't wanna complicate the question.
It gets, and then you have, you know, this is all controlled in terms of power generator. The modification, I'd like to take everybody up to the substation on Route 102 and show you how they spent $250,000 to upgrade that substation just for the Theodore
Theodore Foster,
Foster Road,
yeah.
just for Route 101. you can't just plop these guys in without, you've got transformers, you've got transmission lines, you've got substations, and it has to be all integrated into the grid. And it won't get approval if there's no return on investment, because the folks who provide the money get an immediate return on investment on the property, on the energy, and on the continued production of energy. So this is it's a business transaction. It's not gonna be in your backyard. We had folks that were concerned about solar on their roofs, and because they didn't understand the difference between net metering and distributed generation. So our job isn't to educate the general public, okay? Our job is to make sure that when we approve things, okay, we carry enough flexibility in our ordinance to where we can control the development. And if we.
But I'm just saying that in the past, on Route 6, on Route 101, people were not happy.
They will never be
With-
happy.
Yeah, and people are not happy with change. That's a given.
Can Jen just finish what you were
Yeah.
saying?
Oh,
On
I
Route
just-
101,
I just-
people were not happy
People were
with,
not happy
That's
with,
the old Aesop's fable, guy carrying a mule, riding a mule, having a mule.
I
pull up
would
One
like
hundred.
development for people to be able to develop and for the town to be happy,
yeah.
right?
with happy.
So they weren't happy, they were very upset.
Mm.
We're talking about 101.
Both.
Yep.
Both. So I don't want to see that happen
I think I
again.
made the statement at the beginning, if you don't want solar farms, you make it so difficult that they won't come and do them. So you can't do it a little bit. You either gotta go like, so it's not worth it, or you gotta make it so that people who have property can make a living off of it, or whatever they're gonna be. The problem is we just popped them on two of the best pieces of commercial property on Route 6.
Well,
You know,
What else was there?
it's not what was there, it's what could have been there.
Well, so,
But I see your point. I mean,
the discussion during the process was all about the fact that solar farms don't cost the town anything,
right.
okay? Don't destroy any property, if anything, it's site prep, okay? You move.
I got a lot of pushback about chopping down all the trees,
oh, geez.
right?
You're gonna get that no matter.
I mean,
what
so you
how
have
about
100
driving up
acres.
Howard Hill Road here, where a guy just clear cut 100 acres.
Can I just?
All he needs is a permit from the DEM.
You do.
Go
You
down
do.
the other way to the
You do.
gravel pit that used to be a horse farm. Guy can do whatever he wants, all right?
It's true, it's true, it's
So-
true.
Helen, we'll
And
get you.
I'll tell you that this, I just selling the timber, I guess, I don't know.
So Helen, you wanted to say?
I wanted us not to interrupt each other, because Jennifer was trying to finish a sentence, and
Yeah. no,
Hey, Helen, let me do that, okay? Helen, just let me do that. All right, okay. Actually, let me say something. To Mike's point, Anthony's point, to your point, you went to Gloucester, okay, and they have 500 feet. Gloucester has 44 with three-phase. They have 101, I'm sorry, 94 with three-phase because, what do you call it, their fidelity or whatever, right? They have 100
Yeah,
with three-phase. They have 102 with three-phase and all that commercial development going up 102 into Burville, all right? So,
they don't need the money from the solar
well,
farms.
bottom line of what I'm saying is, you mentioned Gloucester and are applying it to Foster. To Mike's point, we really don't have that much availability to solar farms. The point that Mike brought up, or Anthony, I don't know which now, was, and I think this needs to be thought of. I know of a guy who clear cut for DEM for a cow farm. all right? Next year, it's all clear. And he's already talking for solar. Now, he's already beat us, so, hold on. So if they're working around us with DEM, should our ordinance, or can our ordinance, and this is coming to you, can our ordinance say if somebody clear cuts for a cow farm, a horse farm, or this farm, or that farm, could there be a waiting period before they go into solar? 5 years?
So I think we had gotten some comments from the public, and there was a section that said that there's a presumption, like cutting within X amount of years, there would be a presumption that it was for the solar farm.
Okay,
So there is things that we could do with,
All
to
right.
an extent, and I mean, that.
so that's gotta be put in
Did
there.
you have that in?
I didn't because we weren't sure about, like,
Well, the
if somebody
language-
sells it.
I don't think the
and-
language was super clear about.
You
what-
gotta work
so-
on that piece, okay? That has to be worked on.
Hey, one other thing, maybe, you guys laughed at me.
Hold on, go ahead, Anthony.
And I went and researched it again. And I mentioned it to the guys from Quahog when they were here. On the decommissioning of the solar farm. Borough has it, if they're not gonna put anything, when they decommission it, if they're not gonna do anything to that, they are to put a seedling in every hole that post is in, to bring our forestry back. Okay, because some of these people, after 25 years of solar, they're all done. So now when they wipe out and take all the solar panels out and it's gone, they don't do anything for a
So I
while.
got a question for you.
Oh, buddy.
If the assessor's position holds true, and she taxes that land as commercial land,
Yeah.
all right?
Yeah.
You just got it.
And I just
right?
got it now, when they
You
take
just got
everything,
it,
when
okay?
they take everything.
If
out.
it holds true, if we don't get sued and that
Yeah,
doesn't
what
hold.
happened to that?
But if it does hold, hold on, this is a legal question, all right? If it's 20 years
Down the road.
commercial,
Yeah, on the 21st year, does it go back to AR when they
But
take
it
everything out?
doesn't.
So right now, what, they're not, she does not necessarily change the zone, she changes the value of the property, because it has a quote-unquote commercial use.
And 20 years of commercial use, remember back to sales of farm, brought in, what's that one, you grandfather, or you,
Yeah,
what am I talking about, Herb?
it's the, I'm not quite sure what you're talking about.
Well,
But
when-
we were talking about whether the zone changes, and the zone does
does
not
not
change. It's not a zone change.
No.
It's allowing them to put a solar farm on it. And the taxation is.
The value of
because
the
it's
land
business.
it's not, well, essentially a piece of empty land versus a piece of land with a solar farm, it has more value.
Right.
Just like if there was a high, so
Yeah.
she's increased the value, that's
Yeah.
how she's
Just like
getting.
if you put a house on
Right.
it.
Yeah,
Okay, how much money did it make per acre?
Value of the-
Any idea?
What do you mean?
What's the taxable rate
The
per
tax-
acre?
The taxes are gonna be 40,
Remember-
it's gonna be valued at 40,000 per acre.
Yeah, but
And
I
then
didn't,
there's a
that
tax on
wasn't
that.
my question.
Do you know what the tax is per
How much
acre?
money they make on the?
How much money does it make?
How much does it
What,
solar?
how much money does who make?
the
Solar.
solar,
Invested
the,
people who own the solar.
Who knows?
Who knows? Public
They
knowledge.
know.
Public knowledge.
You mean the?
They make enough to pay the taxes.
The person that's letting them do it, or the
No, no,
power
no.
company?
one has to presume that it's profitable.
It's an LLC, just like every other.
Hey, could I make a suggestion here?
We,
I'm gonna make this suggestion, all right? I'm not here next time. You people are here, and there are 4 new people, right? Or 1, 2, I don't know, 3 new people. Why don't you wait and start this again? Sounds stupid, but,
We're ongoing anyway. I
yeah.
mean, it's ongoing
Yeah,
anyway.
they can.
But you gotta introduce them, and you're gonna get all new input.
Well, we did get like partway through, so I think we should just pick
All right.
up where we left off.
But I'm gonna say this,
Back to my seedlings in the hole.
what,
I think you're.
it's a good idea.
That's a great
Thanks,
idea.
Ron.
All right, that's, add it, but this is a question
I
here.
never would have.
We keep worrying about what people have to say.
Well, that's what I said.
No, what happened with St. Croix? 100 people show up and gets blown out, we get killed. This 101, 100 people show up, all right? We go through all these manipulations, all right? We have a hearing, all kinds of people saying it. In the end, it's all gonna be whatever the lawyers say it is.
Legal part of it,
Yeah,
And just because it's important to know, okay, and that's why I asked you the question, here we are dealing with regulating an industry, and I don't think all of us know how much money they make per acre per year.
Anthony,
How
how much?
lucrative this really is.
I know the person who wants to put it in makes $15,000 to $20,000, okay? The person that's giving up the land, like Quahog up there, $15,000 to $20,000 per 5 acres, because you can put whether a megawatt or kilowatt or whatever.
Well,
You need 5 acres to do that, of panels.
just to keep it simple, okay, I like to keep things simple, because it's really important to have a good number in your head. Why do people want to do this? How much money do they earn? It's roughly, okay, $1 million for each 2 megawatts a year. Because those, now that's when you're dealing with operations that operate 24/7. These units only are installed at 30, if you're not interested in this, okay, that's one.
So hold on,
Okay.
ladies,
Please,
could you?
do me the courtesy
Yes.
of listening and learning something.
And I want you to say
People
it,
invest in
say it
these.
again, because
These projects are
I'm
started
behind.
by investment bankers who
Yes,
demand a return on their investment.
yes, these projects
Okay.
are extremely lucrative, that's why they do
Yes.
that, that's why
So
they're
the
pouring
one we
out
have here for-
boatloads of money.
The one we
Yes.
have here for 8 acres, okay, 3 of those acres, they are really all that produce 24/7. Because they only permit with ISO for 30% of their output because the sun doesn't shine all the time, okay? So, 3 acres, 24/7, $1 million each. They're making $3 million a year on that little.
But
solar
we're
farm
limited.
down there.
But not the
We
landowner.
we cannot tax on that, that's the.
I'm not saying that, but it's important to know why these facilities are an object of interest for people who know the most about investing money. And it's the same with landfills, and it's the same with windmills, okay? And we have to be thinking about that when we
Why?
construct these ordinances.
Why?
We care about what's on the land.
Yeah, Mike,
Well,
these
because
guys,
we're gonna-
101, well, hold on,
That's
101,
where the lawyer fees are paid.
well, 101,
They're not gonna stop these guys.
these guys, oh, okay, if that's where you were going.
That's where I'm going.
101 was a $10 million investment.
You are not going to stop it.
No, so
It-
that's, I don't know what this is
But
about.
the more that you put in, you want them to do terrain masking, you want them to do, the buffer and all that stuff, that's not going to stop them. If there's money to be made, they will find a way to do it.
Well,
The landowner's not making all that money.
It
No,
doesn't
it's not the
matter.
landowner,
No,
it's
I
the
get
company,
that,
yeah.
the landowner's not making $3 million. He's making.
Wait, this conversation
I
now, hold
thought we
on,
were talking about
stop,
taxes.
stop. This has nothing, these now money conversations have nothing to do with our ordinance, okay? So I'm gonna stop that part of the conversation, all right? We're building an ordinance, it doesn't matter, dollars and cents, I shouldn't have even said they invested 10 million.
Was there a
Okay.
question about the taxes? That's where we were.
decommissioning.
No, my question was, and you've answered it, when it was being taxed as commercial, all right, did it grandfather somehow to be commercial? That was my legal question and you answered it, I'm sorry, thank you.
That hasn't changed, right? There's still
No,
assessment,
has not changed.
$40,000 an
It has
acre.
not changed.
but there is a suit in Richmond for that exact thing. That's
I-
gonna,
We're
So I've
waiting for
looked
the-
at the suit,
yeah,
and it's, I mean, granted, I think it's probably gonna take several years to resolve, but there was the suit alleged, they tried to file for summary judgment, meaning that as a matter of law, those standards that are applicable to tangible taxes apply also to real estate taxes, and that was not, judge said absolutely not. So they're gonna try that on the merits, and I think that, well, my opinion is that Richmond wins. Now, what will happen is probably someone will go back and re-legislate so that they can get around it, but as it's written right now, it literally says tangible taxes.
so we'll see.
We could do worse.
They'll just change the statute.
No kidding. The bottom line is, I don't know why anybody's, if you think about it, the state is gonna collect all these ordinances, all right? And they're gonna send one out, and that's the end of it.
They could.
That's the end of it, trust me. Because, you know what, I read that we're number one in the country, state of Rhode Island, number one in the country with percentage of renewable energy. Believe
Yeah, I
that?
did see that.
Okay, so what's the state's plan? Now, this isn't part of our ordinance, but think about this. What's the state plan? They're giving away money to produce renewable energy. It's going up in your energy costs, but I think it's to bring in industry and give them reduced rates of electricity to bring industry in. Because there's no reason to continue to produce this much renewable energy. What's it for? We're producing renewable energy, your home costs are going up.
I don't understand that National Grid keeps going up on it.
And gone up big time.
You know?
My bills in both houses were $300 apiece, they're now $500, okay? So I'm paying doesn't matter what I'm paying. My costs went up, and there's all this renewable energy going around. Why isn't my cost going down? Supply and demand. No, I don't want the answer, Mike, thank you. All right, can we get back to the ordinance?
5 new crew boats are better than $1 million a piece.
I knew what?
Crew boats. Ever trying to figure out how you service a windmill in the middle of the water?
Huh.
Oh,
Helicopter.
Okay, the ordinance, back to the ordinance, please.
Logistically impossible. It has to be a crew boat, just like you service an oil rig.
Back to the ordinance, please. Helen,
We
Helen,
we gotta work on it.
what else, Helen?
The ordinance, where were we?
Okay, I'm trying to coordinate
Do you guys
the
like
ordinance
terrain?
I was working on.
Should we
With
take a
the
break?
ordinance I should have been working
Yeah.
on.
I'm wondering if we should
You know what,
let you
really,
figure if it.
really what should happen now is you and Helen should get together and build one.
And build a new one.
Yeah,
A new
That's the
one
new
to work
version.
off
Yeah.
of, because this is
Yes.
this is
I think
ridiculous.
so.
mess.
Okay.
I think so.
All right.
It's a chop.
Do we wanna just talk about that wildlife thing and just kinda get that out of here, so we can get that rid of that one?
Wildlife thing, is that on the agenda, or is this part
Oh,
of
this
this?
is part of
Yeah, it's
it.
part
okay.
of the, and Joanne, where's the wildlife?
On the last page, I think
Number
it's a comment.
17, yeah.
Number 17, if you look at the comment 22.
It's towards the end.
I lost mine, or I
We
left
lost,
it in
let's
my.
see, we need new ones.
I don't need it.
Okay, so we need to,
This comment
oh,
right
this
here.
comment. Okay.
Yeah, just, I guess it's in some.
And what, somebody read it, or,
Okay, the Rhode Island Wildlife Action Plan does not say anything about zoning. It says to conserve the land. As a planner, we are taught the main ways to conserve property is not through zoning, but by buying it as conservation land, buying the development rights, or transferring the development rights. This is one of the reasons we have land trust and make people pay $1,335 per lot for open space when they create a subdivision. this is the reason that there is such a thing as transfer of development rights as they have in South County. It is a sophisticated way through zoning to encourage development to one area and not in another.
What
I
happened
don't think
is,
that's what
well,
I was
it is-
supposed to read.
Yeah.
someone proposed that we not allow solar
Oh, jeez.
in an area that is deemed, part of the Wildlife Action Plan, the 2015 Wildlife Action Plan. So they, and they designated some wildlife
Yeah, I.
specialty areas. So that was a suggestion that had been brought forth by the public, but before Jennifer does any more work, because Jennifer and I have talked about it several times, is that something,
No.
No, I don't think the caribou will migrate, that's their migrating
You know,
pattern.
hey, this'll
Then
tell
they
you,
go through forest.
there were two moose about 15 years ago, across the street from my house.
There was
And-
moose, like today, there was moose somewhere
So
in Dearborn.
you have all the eastern part of Foster in conservation, okay? I think the wildlife are fine, and somehow they got down to my house, all right? Through the reservoir. I really don't think that belongs in our action plan, in our thing at all.
No.
well, it's not part
That
of
was
our
a-
comp plan.
Can I just say that if that's not our plan,
What are we
then,
looking at?
then wouldn't the regulations involved, that relate to that plan be enforced by the state?
It's not, so it's no, there's no mandatory plan. The plan just says, here are some areas that have wildlife and there are corridors, and they give suggestions on how towns can protect those areas, but it's not something that's mandated by the state.
Yeah,
Mike,
Nor is it something that's in our comp plan. So if you wanted to add it, we need to
My
add it.
mother and my aunt made that up.
You or I made it.
Well, again, it goes to my point about
Yes,
If you-
these
if
were
you-
just comments that the public had,
Shrink-
multiple people, not just one, and I wanted to put it out there
Yep,
yeah.
so that we talk.
Okay,
and can I just,
yes.
I'm sorry, I would like to one more time commend Jennifer for, taking all of this, and we said, well, we're not trying to
Give her
make
a
the
cookie.
public happy, but we are, in a sense, trying to make everybody happy. I mean,
Try.
Try,
you can.
the public has good ideas too, they come up with ideas we didn't have, happens to me all the time. And so, I really would like to commend Jennifer for, continuing to take all of this information from everybody, as
you
she
get
just
two
has
cookies
done.
now,
Yeah, the whole thing.
All right, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Nice talking.
Put it on.